Woods Runner, Chapter 8 and 9. The natives began whooping and dancing around the large campfire, firing their muskets in the air in celebration. Samuel crept out slowly until he could partially see what was going on. He started to move back under cover when there was a sudden increase in the racket, and the sound was different. The Indians had been firing in the air as they danced, which caused the explosions to go up and away. They were firing smooth-bore muskets, weapons that made a muffled barking sound. But this new sound had the sharper, cracking quality of higher velocity rifles. Samuel crept back out to the edge and saw that the shots had come from the north side of the clearing where another trail came in. 6 or 8 shots. Great clouds of black powder and smoke came rolling out of the forest. A pause to reload, then 8 more shots. The Indians and British soldiers were stunned. A few Indians and one soldier went down, probably dead. Several others were wounded and hobbled into the brush for cover. But the Indians and British recovered and returned fire. Samuel was jarred by 2 important facts. First, whoever was attacking this might end in the rescue of his parents. Second, he should help them. He moved to the clearing near the trail, raised his rifle, cocked it, and, without thinking of the enormity of what he was doing, aimed at the nearest British soldier. He was less than 50 yards away. The German silver of Samuel's front sight settled on the red uniform. He set the first trigger and was moving his finger to the hair trigger when he heard a noise behind him. He wheeled, his rifle coming around in time for him to see the 2 Indians who had nearly caught him earlier running straight at him. What? Half a word. Then one Indian, the one farther away, leveled his musket and fired. Samuel felt the ball graze his cheek. Without thinking, his rifle at his hip, he touched the hair trigger and, in slow motion, felt the rifle buck, saw the small hole appear in the Indian's chest. Then, through a cloud of smoke from his weapon, he watched the Indian fall as he saw the other Indian swing a tomahawk in a wide arc. He knew he couldn't raise his rifle in time to block the blow. The tomahawk was coming at his head, and he tried to duck, but the white hot pain exploded as the side of the tomahawk smashed into his forehead. Then nothing. Wounds. Untreated battle injuries often led to gangrene, which causes the body to literally rot away, turning first green, then black, from infection that travels rapidly. Because antibiotics were unavailable in the 18th century, amputation was the usual treatment. Due to the horrific odor of gangrene, surgeons could smell the patient and make an accurate diagnosis. If the patient was not lucky enough to benefit from amputation, maggots would be introduced into the wound in an attempt to aid healing. They would eat away the infection. Barring the surgical removal of body parts or the use of parasites, doing absolutely nothing and letting the patient die was the only option at the time. Chapter 9. Strange dreams, visions of unreality, endless screams that started with low grunts and became more and more shrill until they cut his soul. Dreams of his mother, dressed all in buckskins, ladling some kind of thick stew with a wooden spoon into a wooden bowl, chewing tobacco, and spitting off to the side while she held the bowl out, shaking her head. He ain't anywhere near right yet. She spit her wad of tobacco juice out again. Then a trap door came down, a lid, something thick and dark, and there was no light at all, just blessed darkness and sleep, 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 and more screams. No sense of time. Once he tried to remember his name and fought with it for a minute or a day or a week or 10 years. He couldn't tell. More dreams, scattered. His mother, this time, wrapped in a blanket with stringy black hair hanging down at the sides of her head while she chewed an obnoxious cud. She disgorged it, slapped it on his head, and tied it on with a filthy rag, spitting more tobacco juice out and nodding. Got to get the poison out or she's going to rot on him. It was as if his eyes never really opened, as if he saw everything through closed lids, and the images that swirled through his mind were so mixed that they became a blur. Night, day, light and darkness seemed to flop and flow over each other. Pictures would stick for a moment and then go. A horse, then a cow, then his mother leaning down Still in the dirty blanket, greasy black hair hanging down the sides of her head, raising the poultice and grinning, spitting more tobacco juice. Coming clean now, she said. Clear pus. Looks clean as spring water. All the yeller gone. Then bouncing, incredibly rough bouncing, as if someone were jumping on a bed while he was trying to sleep. He would pass out in pain, rolling waves of pain. Finally, a picture stopped, just stopped in front of his eyes, in front of his mind, locked in. It was dark or night, and he was on some kind of wooden frame lying on the ground. A fire burned nearby, and when he opened his eyes wide, the light from the fire seemed to shove a lance into the middle of his head. He grunted in pain. He closed his eyes and waited for the rolling pictures to begin again. When they didn't, he opened his eyes, but only in a slit. The image was the same, a bed frame of some kind, a fire, and this time less pain from the light. As he watched, an arm came out of nowhere and put a piece of wood on the fire, then withdrew. He tried to move his head and see where the arm went, but the pain was so intense he nearly lost consciousness. He lay back and closed his eyes, opened them again when the pain receded. Where? Who? The words pealed in his mind like a bell, echoing around inside his head. A figure appeared next to the fire. Not his mother, but a young man with stringy black hair and a cheek full of tobacco juice. He leaned down, his face close to Samuel's. You in there, Righteous? Are you gonna go, or are you going away again? I'm here. Who are you? John. John Cooper, but most just call me Coop. Where? Long story that. We'd be about 12 miles from where you got that egg on your head. 12 miles in distance, more than that in time. When? I don't remember. Some Indians, I think I shot at one and then nothing. Why did I shoot at an Indian? Can't tell. We come on these Iroquois and some redcoats. We'd already seen what they took and done back at Miller's Crossing, so we snuck up proper and took 'em on. I remember. You were shooting. You say we. Where are the others? They asleep. I'm the night watch tonight. Plus I've been doctoring you and I thought you might lose your light during the night. You been breathing like an old pump. Guess you was just sucking air hard 'cause you didn't die. Course it could still happen. I had a cousin got kicked in the head by a mule. There's fractious mules. And he lived for nigh on 2 months before he lost his life. He never talked none, except for now and again a kind of moan, like somebody stepping on a duck. Then he just up and died. Samuel closed his eyes, felt a spinning. Then, as if a fog were lifted, it all came back. I was tracking Ma and Pa. The redcoats, the Indians, hit our place while I was looking for Bear. They killed most everybody, but took my parents and a few others captive. Coop nodded. We saw 'em, all around a fire, ropes tying 'em together. What happened to them? Coop shrugged. Wasn't much of a fight. We fired once, reloaded, laid out another round, and they ran. Them redcoats had wagons already hooked up, and they piled the captives in the wagon and lit out. We couldn't shoot no more for fear of hitting the captives. The Indians just drifted away like smoke. That would have been that, except one of them put a musket ball in Paul. It was in his gut. Awful place, that. We knew he was gonna die. Ain't nobody comes back from a belly wound. And kept waiting for it, but he made 4 days. Gave up his light last night. No, night before. Died screaming. It was bad. Surprised it didn't bring you out of your stupor. The screaming kept everybody up all night. Samuel closed his eyes again, trying to put numbers together. Died 1, 2 days ago, after making 4 days. If a belly wound took 4 days to kill, and it happened the day of the fight, but Paul died 2 days ago. How long since they took the captive, since the fight? 5, 6 days? You've been out 6 days. We like to not found you, and when we did, we almost left you. Thought you was with the raiders. Me? Why? Well, you wasn't with us, so we thought you was with them. But Carl did some thinking on it. Carl's my brother, and he's the one to think on things. And said, look how messed up your head was where they clubbed you. Look at the bullet hole in the Indian you killed. That's a honey of a little rifle you got. And how could you be with them and still get clubbed and shoot one of them? So we took you with us. I'd been out 6 days? Closer to 7, counting the night. And did you say we'd come 12 miles? Coop nodded. First 3 days, no, 4, we let you delay. Everybody thought you would die. There was no sense dragging you. Then there was Paul with his belly wound. If we tried to move him, he would scream like a panther. Then we rigged up a drag and started to pull you back of one of them oxen they left behind when they ran. All the bumping. Coop nodded, spit tobacco juice in the fire, and listened to it hiss. We couldn't stay too long, and thought you could die just as well dragging you as you could laying up somewhere. If we'd left you, something would have come along and ate you, so here you are. Oh, my head. Coop nodded. Good cut from that hawk. Carl took some deer sinew he had and an old needle he carries for fixins, and sewed it up right pert. He said in case you lived, wouldn't be much of a scar across your forehead. Coop smiled, and with some pride added, it come on to having green pus, and everybody knows that's bad. So I made up a spit and tobacco poultice and tied it on with a piece of rag. Pus cleared up in 2 days. So I've been laying for 6 days? Another nod. Coming on 7. Well, how? With a start, Samuel realized he didn't have any pants on underneath the coarse blanket that covered him. How come I'm not all messed up? We took your pants off, got 'em wrapped in a blanket pack with your rifle. Indian must have been in a hurry or he would have took it. Sweet little shooter like that. Also got your possibles bag and powder horn. What you feel under your rear is fresh grass. Anytime you messed, we just threw the old grass away and put in half a foot of fresh new grass, slick as a new calf, or maybe slick as a baby's bottom. Maybe I should put my leggings on. Only if you ain't going out of your head again. Yeah, I don't think so. Suits me. I was one having to get new grass all the time. You ain't eat nothing other than a little broth I got down you one time and some water now and again. Man can go a long time without food, no time at all without he has some water. I'm starving, Samuel said automatically, but with the words came the feeling, and he realized he was hungry as he'd ever been. You ought to drink something soft first. Coop handed him a wooden bowl with a mixture of broth and meat. Go slow. This is from some salted ox they was cooking when we jumped 'em. Samuel took the bowl. He tried to drink slowly, but as the taste and smell hit him, he couldn't help but gulping at it, meat and all, so fast that he gagged and threw up. Slow, Coop repeated, coming back with a blanket roll and putting it on the ground next to Samuel. You'll flounder. You don't go slow. Samuel started over, carefully. There was silence as he ate, chewing completely before swallowing, small bites, small swallows. It's like a fire, he thought, when you're cold, fire moving through your body. He ate the first bowl, handed it to Coop, and watched him refill it, this time with broth and chunks of glistening fat as well as meat. The second bowl he drank and ate more slowly than the first, and while he ate, he made a mental list of the questions to ask when his stomach was full. Why are you here? How many of you are there? Where are you going? Is there any way you can help me find my mother and father? Are you? Will you? Can you? Do you? Questions roaring through his mind. He finished eating. He lay back. He opened his mouth to ask the first question, and his eyes closed at the same instant, and he was immediately asleep. The last thing he thought as he went under was that he still hadn't put his pants on. American spirit. Although poorly trained and weakly led and improperly fed, so badly that soldiers sometimes had to eat their shoes. The Americans took comfort from fighting on home soil and usually had much higher morale than the British. While they were often outnumbered and fought with inferior equipment, the spirit had an enormous effect, and they took the phrase morale is to fighting as 4 is to 1 to heart on the battlefields.